We had a hell of a game in Oxford on Saturday between Ole Miss and Alabama, and now Ole Miss has to. They got up for that game, laid it all on the line, all that. Now they've got to go on the road and get up again. They're better than Arkansas, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean you're going to win on Saturdays in college football. Night game, Arkansas, Fayetteville. It's even though they're kind of in disarray, it's an extremely difficult place to play and win. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We welcome in David Johnson, Rebels 247 Sports, Ole Miss. He joins us on the Yuengling Lager guest line. David Johnson, good morning. I want to talk about Lane Kiffin and his emotion during the game and then his emotion after the game, especially letting everybody know that he didn't care about how many rushing yards they had or if they covered the spread. It was about beating Alabama, not coming close.
Yeah, good morning, Bo. I think, what you saw from Lane in the post-game presser, it was raw frustration. I mean, obviously they wanted to beat Alabama. They needed to beat Alabama. And, I think you're exactly right. They put forth their best foot in an attempt to beat Alabama. It didn't work out. So, I don't think he necessarily got snippy with the reporters afterwards. He simply just said what was on his mind. Hey, we didn't win. We're here to win. I'm paraphrasing, but, the bottom line is winning. I don't care about records. I want to win games. And, I don't think you can hold that against him. Not at all. In a situation like that, Ole Miss still playing at the time for a chance to win the West, go to Atlanta, and, football's an emotional game, and coaches get emotional just like players do and just like the fans do.
When they were close, they played really well for the most part, and they're up 17-7 at one point during the game, as you know, David, and could have been 20-7. How difficult will it be? So, look, the kids got up for that game, okay? They laid it all on the line. We know that because your son played college football. Kids can only get up about maybe 3 to 4 times a year and play, like, really, really well. How difficult will it be to kind of match that intensity level and that focus this week again as you go on the road to Arkansas?
The Arkansas game is weird in a lot of ways. Number one, Ole Miss hardly ever plays good in Fayetteville. And as you mentioned, it's a very difficult place to play. It's also the middle of November, and it's a night game. And they're forecasting temperatures in the mid to low 20s over there Saturday night, which, I don't care what anybody says, mind over matter or what. It's harder to catch a football, to throw a football, to kick a football when it's cold like that. So, I don't know how much that's going to affect them. From the mental part of it, though, I don't expect it, just because Lane's been here 3 years now, and since he walked through the door, he has preached a pro mindset, and I think it has really filtered into his players. And, they've got a job to do. They've got a game to do. One game has nothing to do with the next game, and I think that's how they're looking at it. I think they'll go over there, and they'll play to the best of their ability and not get caught up in the emotion, because let's be honest, really, Arkansas is playing to get bowl eligible. Ole Miss is just playing for bowl pecking order. And there's not a lot on the line, so to speak, in regards to conference titles or college football playoffs. All that's out the window. So I think you're going to see Ole Miss just go over there and handle their business. I think this team's very good at doing that. They've really done it 9 out of the 10 games they've played this year, other than the LSU game. And, I don't expect any fall off in effort at all.
Okay. But also this team, the fans are sitting there thinking, if you lose this game, they'll be crushed, because you will fall, even if you beat Mississippi State, you will fall in the bowl pecking order. And they know they're better, but like you said, playing up there on the road is very difficult. Don't you think the fan base will be crushed if they lose?
Yeah, of course, fans are gonna react like fans do, but really and truly, as long as they win one out of the next two, I think they're pretty much set in their bowl pecking order at number 5. Obviously behind Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and LSU, but I think Ole Miss pretty much is going to be that 5th bowl team out of the SEC. Whether they go 2-0 or 1-1 over the next 2 games. Obviously, you want to go 2-0. You want to win 10 again and have a chance to win 11. So, that's kind of what they're looking for over there Saturday night. Now, of course, there's a bigger distraction going on right now, and I'm sure you're going to get to that, asking me about that too.
Okay. Tell me what you think on the rumors swirling around Lane Kiffin to the NFL, to Auburn, and there could be another, program or two open up in the next week and a half, 2 weeks. David?
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, Jimmy Sexton is doing Jimmy Sexton things behind the scenes. There's no doubt about it. That's his job. He ought to be doing it. And for Ole Miss fans, as long as Lane Kiffin is your head coach, you're going to go through this every November and December, period. And in a way, it's an enviable position that other people want your coach, respect what he's done here, but I also get the grueling part of it, not knowing, But as far as what I know right now, look, we know Auburn and Lane have mutual interest, and that's pretty much the extent of it. I think that's all anybody not named John Cohen really knows right now. There's a lot of guessing going on. And I will say this, though. It's going to happen fast, whatever happens, because I think Auburn names its head coach the day of the Iron Bowl, which is a week from Saturday. So, I don't think there's going to be a lot of waiting. The transfer portal and the date set on it now, it doesn't allow you to wait. And if you're not in the portal,
no doubt about that,
you're going to get whooped. So, everybody is in hyper mode. I'm sure Keith Carter is doing everything he can do at Ole Miss to prepare a great package for Lane to continue on here. But at the same time, you got to know Keith has a list. And, he's going to be ready either way.
Yeah.
And that's all I could tell Ole Miss fans to do. Be ready either way.
So you thinking Coach Prime to Ole Miss if Lane Train leaves?
No, that's not going to happen. I mean, mad respect for Deion and what he's done at Jackson State, but and I read something the other day about this. But look, he's winning big in the worst FCS conference in America. I mean that very respectful, but that's just the truth. And I don't know that these bigger institutions would be ready, whether it's Ole Miss, whether it's Auburn, or anybody else that opens up, to bring Deion in right now at this young point of his coaching career.
Okay, I see where you're going there. We're visiting with David Johnson, OleMiss.247sports.com. David joins us on the Yuengling Lager guest line. Here's what I'm picking up. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. You wouldn't be surprised either way, from what I gather. You wouldn't be surprised if he left, and you wouldn't be surprised if he declined the offer. Is that kind of where you are, David?
Yeah, that's where I'm at, Bo, just because, I don't know. You hear things, but you don't know for sure what's going on behind the scenes. So, and I do know this Auburn stuff has been going on better than 2 weeks now, and Lane Kiffin has not stood up and put an end to it. So it makes you think he's listening. So, no, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't.
Interesting. The guy's done an unbelievable job. I mean, it's just remarkable.
Oh yeah, when you look at things, how much is Ole Miss going to lose if they lose Lane Kiffin?
I mean, he's been
the
incredible,
branding,
David.
it's unbelievable. I mean, so, I will say this, though. I know Keith Carter. I know Dr. Boyce. They're going to put Ole Miss's best foot forward in their effort to keep Lane in Oxford. I don't think any Ole Miss fan out there can have any concerns about that. They're going to do everything they can.
All right. If KJ Jefferson plays, I think Arkansas has a shot. I still think Ole Miss, again, better team, better QB, better offensive system. Their DC has done Partridge has done very well this year. If KJ doesn't play, I don't really think the Razorbacks have a shot. How do you see it, David Johnson?
Well, I think they've got a really good defense. It's going to be a cold weather game, probably going to be lower scoring than it would be if you were playing in 80-degree Oxford, Mississippi. And I think their defense showed they can keep them in a game regardless of what their quarterback situation is. Last week, when, they played LSU to a 13-10 final. So, I do agree with you. I think KJ gives more opportunity to Arkansas. But I really don't think he would necessarily be the difference maker. That Arkansas defense, very disciplined.
Oh, Barry Odom's
they
awesome.
They fill the gaps.
Yeah.
They gang tackle. This is not going to be an easy game for Ole Miss, but if they go over there and they play their game, they'll leave Fayetteville with a victory.
Do you think that Lane Kiffin will have to, when I say change his outfit, adjust a little bit for the weather this weekend?
I don't think he will from a personnel standpoint or a schematic standpoint. I wouldn't be surprised to see Lane in a Joe Namath fur coat or something. He doesn't do well in the cold weather. But, no, as far as his kids go, no, I expect to see those linemen, sleeveless out there, no undershirts on, playing ball. And, in Lane Kiffin's offense, you're supposed to catch the football when it's thrown to you. 25 degrees makes no difference.
Okay. David Johnson, olemiss.247sports.com. They're all over everything. What the team's doing now, as much information as they can get on, some of the rumors with Lane Kiffin. And I think David's right on John Cohen. Just Cohen, Strickland, Byrne, that whole crew believes in making hires super quick, super fast, expediting the process regardless of sport. So that thing could move. It may not be Saturday like David said. It may be, but I would not be surprised if they name somebody, on Sunday. We'll see how bogged down Cohen gets with the interview process. The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. David Johnson on the Yuengling Lager guest line. So, David, how is Zach Evans? What is the latest? What are you expecting from or not expecting from him Saturday night in Fayetteville?
Well, he left the Alabama game with a concussion. Lane does not talk about injuries, but he said Monday that he didn't know anything any further, which, we'll talk to him today at lunch, but that's all he's going to say. And, he's really got a tight clamp on stuff leaking out of that program. A lot of people thought Michael Trigg was going to play last week. That didn't happen. So I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. We've seen Zach Evans dress for games and not play. I expect he'll at least dress. But dealing with a concussion issue, it's anybody's guess. Sometimes you get out of protocol in 3 or 4 days. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 weeks. We just don't know.
Right. Anybody else that may not be available this week?
Really and truly, they use that open date to get healthy. And they're pretty healthy right now.
So, have you ever seen anything like Quinshon Judkins? I mean, Deuce had a nice freshman year, but nothing compared to this. I just really can't think of. I'm not sure I can think of a running back in the state of Mississippi, but he's the most talented freshman running back in the country, and he's one of the most talented regardless of age.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, dialing back the years here, but he kind of reminds me of a young Herschel Walker a little bit. I mean, they just feed him the ball and he eats up the yardage. And, he doesn't – he kind of ran out of gas because, look, they used his legs to march down the field last week on that final drive against Alabama. And then they got in a hole where they had to throw the football and couldn't use him down on the goal line. But, the kid, he totes it 25, 30 times a game sometimes. And his last run is always as hard as his first run. And great vision and just so difficult to bring down. And that's where I kind of relate him a little bit to Herschel, that was so hard to bring down. He's had an incredible year to win the Connerly Trophy, I think, and we'll see what happens with Quinshawn afterwards. I mean, hopefully he's going to be in Oxford toting the mail for the next 2 years.
All right, I'm betting you a sandwich or a pizza at Proud Larry's that I agree. Look, Judkins is worthy, but I think it's going to be hard to beat Shedeur Sanders and what he's done at Jackson State this year.
Yeah, he's done a lot on a different level of football. There's no doubt about it. And, I vote on the Connerly Trophy, and they tell you, NFL projections and all that. Throw that out the window. You don't want all that in your vote. And Shedeur's had a great year. There's no doubt about it. He's also probably the popular choice, so to speak. But if you want to talk about who ought to win it, Quinshawn ought to win the Heisman, the Connerly. Not going to the Heisman yet. Not yet. He's
a phenomenal talent. Out of bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. DJ David Johnson, Ole Miss.247sports.com on the Yuengling Lager guest line. David, we appreciate it. Big, 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 big game this weekend. We'll talk soon.
All right, folks. Thank you.
That was good. David Johnson, not shying away from the Lane rumors to Auburn. Blake, I think that'll only continue to build.
Do you put stock in him not coming out and saying anything? Like, is silence an answer?
No, because no one does. I mean,
because if
Nick Saban doesn't look around at jobs, so he doesn't have to do this, right?
Correct.
Kirby Smart's not looking around at jobs because he's at Georgia.
Correct.
Brian Kelly, now that he is at LSU, he's not going to get this.
Some people might say he wasn't at Notre Dame, although he was.
Yeah, well, he did a wonderful job at Notre Dame.
No, I'm saying looking at jobs. People would have said, he's not looking at jobs at Notre Dame.
No,
but,
I get it.
Yeah.
And look, he made the right move, okay?
Heck yeah.
He has an opportunity now to win a national championship, or maybe two. Let's just say Brian Kelly's there for 10 years. He has an opportunity to win 1 to 2 national titles, which is incredible.
Top 1%.
Okay. So at those jobs, you don't get asked.
Yep.
Even at Florida.
Yep.
Okay. If Billy Napier goes, let's say he gets this thing really going next year and goes 10-2.
Mm-hmm.
There's nowhere to go.
Correct. Not in college football.
That's
Correct.
not a shot at Ole Miss, because Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas, South Carolina, there's a few other programs. Florida State type programs. You can win big, but the bottom line is if you win big at one of those programs, and Steve Spurrier was an exception because of his age, and he wasn't going to leave again when he was at South Carolina, you're going to get courted, and you're going to be asked, and you're not going to say anything.
Yes.
What are you supposed to say?
To base off that argument,
Boy, I really appreciate Jimmy Sexton letting me know that Auburn was interested, but I'm not going anywhere.
Well, I think what people want to hear is Lane.
Oh, heck no, I'm not going.
The head coach. Well, you'd love to hear that, but you don't even get that. I think what people like to hear is we're focused on winning against Arkansas, and that's what we care about. And I'm not worried about outside distractions, right? People just want a reassurance.
Right.
We want the guarantee.
And I think that's what he said.
I think interesting point, too, because when we talk about this, there's a big ongoing debate right now about what's better, Auburn football or Ole Miss football in terms of the job, and is there actually this big gap, or is that just perceived and yada, yada?
Well, here's what we forget in sports. It doesn't have to be a big gap.
To be a gap that matters.
Okay?
Also,
Auburn has won a national championship in the 2000s.
And played for one.
And
should have played for another one when they got robbed of being undefeated.
And I know Ole Miss is excited about their 2 wins, as they should be, in 14 and 15 over Bama. Auburn's won more than that over Bama.
Correct.
Okay, and Auburn has beat Georgia.
Yes.
Okay.
And you know what else doesn't happen?
And they've been to the SEC championship game several times, and Ole Miss hasn't.
You know what happens at Auburn, or what doesn't happen at Auburn that happens at Ole Miss? When you're winning, you don't get looked at Auburn to go take another job either. That's the difference. It's still one of the top jobs.
It is. It's not top 5, 6, 7, but it's top 15. And then it really just depends on, what you want and what you're looking for. People are coming at us on the Ag Up Equipment text line that it's dysfunctional. It is. But I got to go back to another. They've done 3 things.
Yep.
They've trumped Ole Miss in 3 things. Played for 2 national championships, won 1. Been to the SEC championship game several times.
Yep.
And they beat Bama even more than you.
Won a Heisman. I mean, they've done it all.
And Cam won a Heisman.
Yeah. And what I've always said is...
And then Ole Miss has a lot of money.
Yes.
Auburn has more.
Correct.
So the gap doesn't have to be from Charleston, South Carolina to London, England.
No.
It just needs to be from Charleston, South Carolina down to Miami.
And I think also what you got to remember is dysfunction is tough, but when the right leader manages dysfunction, all that energy harnessed becomes a force to be reckoned with.
That's right. And Lane doesn't care about any of the old guard.
Well, maybe the question we should be asking is, how Saban-esque is Lane Kiffin?
And neither does John Cohen.
Lane Kiffin may be the perfect guy to walk in there and do what Saban and Kirby have done.
He wants to be right in the middle of Saban and Kirby because he believes, and he's
better than
he's a better coach. Now, can he get all the pieces in place and recruit well enough through the portal and high school recruiting? I don't know.
No.
He's better at quarterbacks than either man. He's better at offensive play calling. And then he's kind of better at, he's better at branding and cool factor. Now, Saban and Smart don't have to do as much because of where they are, but Auburn's not light years behind Bama. We'll see, though. The Out of Bounds Show is driven by your next John Deere tractor at Ag Up Equipment. AgUp.com. Locations in Canton and Pearl, 18 more around the state of Mississippi. AgUp.com for your next John Deere tractor. Managing your farm, your family land, or your hunting camp. That starts and ends with a John Deere tractor from Ag Up Equipment. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. The show is also brought to you by Went McGee, MortgageManS.com. MortgageManMS.com.